Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Voice by Matt show. My name is Matt Bertho, and today I have some amazing humans on this podcast with me. We have Brian and Jen of Savannah Psychics. I got to visit Brian. Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Last year. We'll go with that for now. Last year, and his insight is amazing. This is my first time meeting Jen, so I'm excited that she is here with us today also. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Matt. So good to see you and
Yeah.
hear you, obviously.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think let's just dive into, this whole show is about how did you find your voice, the origin story. And let's just start with that.
Um, so, you know, the idea of voice is so, um, it's fascinating to me because in my past, there was not an allowance for that, you
Mm,
know. So the journey of me finding my voice has been a very long and emotional road.
mm.
So Brian has been, not try not to cry,
Oh,
been
it's
a very
okay.
integral part of that. He's just allowed me to blossom on my own at my own pace. Though he's, because he's psychic, he's known what was in there from the time he met me. So,
Oh,
I won't get too far back in the past of everything. Um, Brian's psychic, I'm psychic too. I've been seeing spirits since I would have to say 4 or 5.
whoa.
Yeah. And a lot of like we're talking about voice and everything. I voiced that. I talked about it.
Yeah.
It was encouraged when I was young. And then in my middle years, that was kind of squelched.
Mm,
So I had to kind of put that in like a little box.
mm.
And Brian has helped unwrap it with me over the years. So now I'm still opening up. It's a journey because when you shut yourself down completely, it's harder to open back up. So,
So I know, you know, growing up in the United States, we're relatively all, I think, the same age. I, I grew up in the church, and gifts like what we're talking about sometimes are like,
exactly.
whoa, 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 what are you talking about? Did you
Right.
have
Right.
any like experiences like that growing up?
So growing up, that was all very fine.
Huh.
It wasn't until my adult years that I did, um, and I am still very, very spiritual and connected with God.
Mm,
Um, I took the church route, and it was um, the church that I was a part of, that being able to open up
hmm.
and say what we were hearing God, the Holy Spirit was saying,
Yes,
was welcomed. So I was very fortunate to be able to be a
that
part of
is.
that form of Christianity.
That's amazing.
Very, very fortunate. Um, and I won't get into it, but I was married too much anyway. I was married before, and there was a lot of oppression
Mm,
in that. And yeah, so the gift I was displaying was not encouraged.
mm. And that probably made you feel very small and little and not heard, not seen,
Very,
not
very
felt.
much so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually kind of crazy. Like I was you know, doing something wrong or bad.
Mm.
So yeah, so
Well,
but luckily I have Brian.
I think it's beautiful that the church that you went to really embraced your gifts.
Yeah.
I wish that more churches would embrace the spiritual gifts that we all possess. And I'm so glad that you opened the door to that on this conversation today, because that's something I think a lot of Christians and believers, really in every religion, I think that they get a little stuck with. They don't know how to express that. They don't know, am I crazy? I feel these things. I see these things. I hear these things. Am I weird? Right. So thank you for
Yeah.
opening the door to that
Yeah.
conversation today, because
Yeah.
that's true.
I'll jump in real quick. Well, not real quick. I don't know. I always say real quick, and we'll be here for 7 hours. Um,
That's why I like
I,
your sessions, Brian. I love working with you because I'm like, okay, go ahead, Brian, do your thing.
yeah, just talk.
Yep.
I grew up in a weird family, from the Appalachian Mountains. So, they get, I find that my family, my relatives are a little on the confused side as to what's right and what's wrong when it comes to what we do.
Hmm.
They're great with us. They support us. They love us. But my mom and other people will say, "Oh, don't do that. You're talking to the devil, or and they get that from church, which is fine because church is right. Well, not church, but God is real, and
Right.
uh, even the concept of Christianity is very real. It's very real and it's authentic. It's been messed up though over time. A lot of things are still hidden from us. But so when the church says don't do that, then they pass that on. They don't ever explain why. So you notice, and we're both talking about church here. This is interesting. Because it matters with what we do. Our jobs, our jobs are to trust that we're hearing from God.
Hmm.
I mean, if I boil it down, I have to trust what's coming out of my mouth. And my whole life, I've been a little weird. Um, you hear the Misfit Island of Misfit Toys. Jen and I, we have our own version of that island here in Savannah, Georgia. So, and we welcome all the all the misfits. But it's weird because I grew up with it kind of being semi-normal until I got a little older and people got more into, well, a book series came out called Left Behind, and that threw everyone off.
Oh boy.
Right. And I don't want to get
Yes.
into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
we can talk about contextual hermeneutic. We can talk
oh
about all the
man.
weird stuff, but it threw off everyone. So I was in church at one point, and we were in a cool church where you could raise your hand or get a microphone and you could talk, with the pastor. And I always had questions, and they didn't like my questions because they didn't have an answer. And
What kind of
I
questions
was
did you
here.
ask, Brian?
Oh, good Lord in heaven. Some we can't really talk about here because I'll lead you to the book of Ruth. All right. I had
All
some
right.
big questions in on that.
All
And
right.
shortest book in the Bible, but one of the more powerful books when it comes to intimacy and relationships and
Hmm.
understanding, life. And, you're told things are bad at one point in your life, and you realize, they were doing it all there and it was fine. So,
Hmm.
but I would ask weird questions, and sometimes it would derail, like about the rapture. That was a big one that really threw everyone off because they try to find the answer and there's not an answer. I would ask a question and they couldn't find it. And I was hearing from my spirit guide that we call Rabbit. I named him that when I was a kid. Um, and it sort of stuck. He's not a rabbit. I think he's less intimidating that way to other people
You
when I
know what?
just
I'm glad you said that because every time I've been with you in a session and you say rabbit, I'm thinking of this little furry white like spirit
Yeah.
ghost. And
if I
so,
could if I could describe his height and his immense pure power
yeah.
over your shoulder while you're doing a reading, it's mind blowing.
Okay.
He's definitely angelic,
Okay.
or even on a higher sense, a spiritual being that works with God. That's the best way to
That
put
is
it.
so cool.
Yeah, I feel very lucky, and I'm gonna tell you something I don't tell many people. He's been in the family for a long time, generations. So,
What?
and even our little kids,
Yeah.
4-year-old talks to him, and or they all do. They all talk to Rabbit now a little bit, but
And I've been able to see him, the kids see him and talk to him too.
in the house, in the shop, down the
So
street.
so
Yeah.
it's an angelic entity, a spirit.
That is the most clearest way to put it for people to wrap their brains around. If I were to get
Wow, I love
more
that.
into it, it gets really weird. But
Well, and so I this is just the kind of questions I ask on my podcast, and this is why I do what I do,
sure.
because I want to ask some questions now. So, um, your lineage, like your family tree, like, how far does it go back, and are you able to kind of guesstimate when did this start?
Yes, I could hit you with a yes on that. We're gonna go down this little rabbit hole, I guess, aren't we? I've been dying to say that,
Oh,
and
you
it
nailed
worked.
it. You nailed it.
Um,
That was perfect.
my mom and my dad's sister have traced our lineage back to the House of David. It's hard to pull that off, but they've done it through that little program, that little
Ancestry.com.
ancestry. Yeah, and they used it, and they kept going, and they got us all the way back there. And I go there because I know that our rabbit has been around way before that.
Yeah.
And I believe if I were to get real weird about it, may be mentioned in some very weird ancient texts that people still read today. So, through a different name, a different name.
Gabriel.
In that zone, yes. Maybe even differently, but yes. And that's good. That's good to leave it right there on
No,
that. But
I think, I mean, this is just me being business voiced by Matt right now. I think if you would lead with that a little bit, like to tell people that lineage, that's powerful, man.
it is. It
Like
is. And it's interesting. Jen and I share a very similar physical, natural lineage as well. She would speak with someone also when she was a child and witnessed some things which we've now determined was in fact Rabbit trying to bring us together
Yeah.
and did it on purpose. People, as weird as this sounds, and I don't mind sharing it because why not? People tried to not let it happen. And I don't mean people, entities tried to not let us get
Oh, I'm
together
sure.
because we're supposed to have kids, and we did. And they did not want that, but we changed something somewhere when we did that.
Yeah.
And our love is sincere. It's 100% pure. So it's pretty cool.
Well, let's go there for a second. I was just watching a clip of my girlfriend Angela's podcast. Well, I'm sure that she'll have you on her podcast. It's awesome. But it's all about evolving through God and your story through God.
Oh,
Very
So
cool.
on the clip today, one of her guests, Angela Bradford, was talking about how these evil spirits would potentially attack, instead of like everybody else, they're going to try to attack the leaders or the potential leaders that
Right. So
are going to be able
true.
to make change. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
I mean, in our personal life or just in what I've seen in church though
Personal,
too.
both. Yeah, both. Why not?
Okay. I mean, so I've seen in church pastors, they get so attacked and their families get so attacked. So and led off, off their calling. So, in our case, when we were in the very beginning stages, um, I mean, it was almost like we were invisible, like at moments where
Mm.
we were driving down the street and someone was driving head on,
Oh man.
and it would happen multiple times in a trip.
right.
Like it wasn't just like, oh, that's a coincidence. At first, I was like, oh, and then I'm like, if it happened 3 times, and I'm like, we need to pull over and we need to pray right now. You know,
Because
Wow.
someone was really trying to take
yeah,
us out.
something did not want us together. Something evil.
And we were close to getting married at that point. I don't
Mhm.
think we even realized it then. We just randomly just decided we love each other. We got to do this. And we
Hmm.
did it on a cliff in Utah in the middle of nowhere.
Ah, I love that. Utah is
Little,
gorgeous.
yes, it
Yeah.
is. It was crazy, but yeah, 3 times in a row that day, and that
Yeah.
was really that was a sign that we need to, because they seemed the people driving, they were in a hypnotic state.
Yeah.
They
Man.
were just veering into us head on, and we had to go off onto the curb. It was like they didn't know they were doing anything wrong. They were like asleep.
Yeah.
We didn't even see them react to wake up. They just kept going. It was like they were being controlled, which was very weird. But we've seen a lot of weird things, so we're used to it. But
Yeah.
a lot of people think it's like, it's television or film. It's not. It's actually real. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of real.
Well, Jen, I want to come back to you for a second. Um,
Okay.
I think, as a voice teacher, uh, in the work that I do, there's always that one moment, and Brian, you're going to get to answer the question also. But there's like this catalyst moment where you had to use your voice and stand up for yourself. Can you talk a
Right.
little bit about that? Like when was that moment that you really embraced the wholeness, and I can say this to you, of your spirit, your soul, and your body coming together outside to say hello? When was that moment for you?
It actually was several years into our marriage. It wasn't until I would, and I hate to bring up COVID because that's such a, crazy time, but it was during COVID that I think because I had to go inward during that time,
Mm,
I really got to explore who I was, and a
mm,
lot of the chaos of life was quieted, and I was able to kind of, look inward during that time. So that I would say at that point was a huge turning point for me.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I just went on, and I had a lot more time to like read, and that's when I started hearing Rabbit speak to me as well. And there was that time and of like, oh my God, like this is like I've been hearing you this whole time, like talking about Rabbit, and I
mhm.
didn't know, you know, because we call Rabbit something different. I do. I call him God because
Oh,
I've been
wow.
talking to
Holy
God,
moly.
my whole life. That's why he doesn't want to say it because it sounds weird.
No, it's not weird at all.
I
Like
don't think it's weird,
it's
but that's
beautiful.
just, yeah. So it's, like in my teen years and everything, he helped me cope through, suicidal moments,
Mm,
and, and just talk me out of it, just say,
Mm.
hey, your parents are just doing the best they can. And so, I know, and I knew at the time, I didn't know the name of God at
mm,
that. I didn't know, I didn't even, I mean, I've heard of Jesus when I was a teenager or whatever, but, like to me, God was just God, like
mm.
there's just God.
Right.
So, but yeah, so yeah, like that huge turning point for me was during COVID when I started to realize, okay, because me and Brian were hearing Rabbit at the same time.
The
We would
same
have
message.
conversation, the same exact
Yeah.
message. And I would say
Whoa.
something, and he goes, you heard him too? And I'm like, yes. And because he's like, that's exactly what he just said to me. So
We
I,
would even cross text each other in 2 different places while we were
mhm,
getting, which you'd go, we're hearing them clear. Good. Then we need to do this. We need to follow.
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so more on that, and then Brian, you'll get it your shot. Um, so it sounds like you guys were together, and then this moment happened, and you just spoke out. This is what I heard. Is that correct?
Um, I think more like I was like,
Because
I
I
want a
want.
rabbit. I want a rabbit too. Like
Yeah.
I want a spirit guide
Ah,
too. you
So
know?
you invited God in. You
Yeah.
invited Rabbit in.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was like working with it, working with it, working with it. And there, what's fascinating is there is a feminine and
There you go.
masculine
Yes.
to all of this. And so, I was having a meditative moment, and I'm like, who is talking to me? And I'm like, just tell me your name. And I distinctly heard Sophia. And if anybody knows, Old Testament, that's also the name of wisdom and the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
And so, this is all like,
Now, she did
little,
not know that's what that name
no,
meant at the
no, I had to
time.
Google it.
And she told, this was a fascinating moment for me because she's like, who is Sophia? And at first I'm thinking, I'm not talking to anybody. And I'm like, oh, you mean like Sophia, Sophia? And you go, what does that mean? I've already known a lot of it,
Yeah.
but I didn't know to the extent that Jen brought me into seeing the revelation here. But I know about Sophia and I understand and the drawing and the
Mm.
Gnostics and all this
Mm.
stuff that if you look up, you'll just get lost. And I got lost in all the info a long time ago. But she's getting the name now, and I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna have to talk about this stuff, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we did, but she had such a clear vision from Rabbit about Sophia and the understanding. And I was just exciting for me that I don't want to take your story. I just was like,
Yeah,
that was such a crazy moment because
it
she didn't
was.
know what it was
Yeah.
or who. And then it made sense.
It makes sense because God can't be female or male. I mean, that's ridiculous. It doesn't have boy parts or girl parts. Like God has to be both because he made us in his image. So there has to be a male and a female uh
Representation.
aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like personality to God.
And
So
all ancient texts talk about the spirit side and
yeah,
the I don't know what you would call the other side. It's still spirit, but it's not like that. The feminine and the male, the masculine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, Jen, that is incredible. And there's more to unpack with that, but I'm gonna give Brian a shot here. So Brian, when did you start vocalizing and using your voice?
The reality is I've done it my whole life and have seen and lived through the repercussions of opening my mouth at all.
Mm.
Mhm.
So I've lost people and
Mm.
and I've gained people. So you just speak what you're feeling and you trust it and you believe it. Um, there are like really grand moments where you're like, I feel the need to say this and I just have to say it. And I know you don't know me from anyone, but your grandma's here and holy shit, blah blah blah, and she's talking about a rubber duck and they're just like, what? And you got to say it. You can't not say it. If you don't, it's a disservice. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then there's times and places you learn not to do it, and that's I was removed from two churches. So,
Oh
and
man.
the first time it's a shock when you're removed from the church and you're told that you're the devil.
Whoa,
And then
whoa.
you just embrace it. You say, well, maybe I am, and is that what we are, Rabbit? We're just outcast here, we're just trying to share information and do good things. So over that course, I've lost a ton of people. But have I ever shut up? I don't think so. I've never shut up. Jen has encouraged me over this 4 years specifically, threw me under the bus saying, oh, my husband's a great medium. Here, go for it. Show them what you can do. And I'm like, really? You're going to just do this in public?
Yeah, even in
Ah.
church, I was like,
Yeah, I was
come on.
crazy. I know, it was crazy. But there's a lot there. There's a lot of emotion in that because I'm very happy where I am. I would not change a thing other than a thought process that I had to get around, which was maybe I was either insane and accurate, or I was possibly from a darker side, and I'm
Mm,
being lied to by Rabbit. So I've had
wow.
my moments. Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that you're sharing on this podcast with the audience that's going to hear it and see it, both of you, um, Rabbit is God, God is Rabbit, and that's your lead. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
because let's be honest, when you say psychic or mediums or I talk to dead people or anything like that, people, especially in the church, Christianity, religious people are like, what's going on with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to hear you guys talk about this is a gift that God has bestowed upon you, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'd like to know more about, Brian, we talked a bit about this in the reading, this age that we're coming into, right? And the 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 spiritual gifts that are starting to come out in people that are just moving very rapidly. So I'd like to hear both of your thoughts on that also, because it feels like a renaissance of sorts is coming or is here.
Yep.
And um, I talk a lot about energy and voice and spirit, and um, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, when I started doing the work and talking about that, it was very taboo. It was kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, people feel your feelings, Matt. Like, they can see what you see. What are you talking about? And now I'm at a point. Today I just sent an abstract in to my Esto voice training to talk about magic, energy, spiritual connection with your audience, so that they can feel what you want them to feel and see what you want them to see. So I'd like to know both of your thoughts about this kind of Renaissance age that we're in right now, and kind of what you're seeing.
Well, in my astrology studies, which I just started a long study process going to school for astrology, um, something that just totally blew my mind was the ages. And we just ended a 2,000 year astrological age in Pisces.
That's
And I
huge.
mean, and I know it sounds silly, but the Age of Aquarius song, we literally have entered this Age of Aquarius, which will last about 2,000 years. And so of course it's going to be kind of a slow ramp up. But I think because it's been a few years that we've actually been in it. Um, and so we'll, our generation is going to be like this dawning of the A night. It's so silly because of the song. Don't make me sing because I will.
She's
Um,
yeah, good.
All right.
but truly, this dawning, and you think of a dawn, you think of awake, becoming
Yeah,
awake.
that's right.
And so, and I do connect that to the Bible, that parts, those scriptures that say that there will be an outpouring of the Spirit.
Mm.
And people will dream dreams and see visions, and all of this, these gifts will awaken. So, I mean,
It's
bringing that in,
happening.
Yeah.
it's definitely happening. And you can see it in astrology. You can see it with our own eyes, the people that, we come in contact with. This is really real. It's
Mm.
coming. It's right. It's like right now, everything is awakening right now.
And I'll give an example of something that still blows my mind a little bit. I was sitting at this table doing a reading, a couple's reading. I don't know, it might have been you guys. I can't remember who
Oh
was in the
boy.
reading. I do a lot. It might be, and if it was you guys, then you'll know. But if not, um, this was months ago, and this is how this awakening is happening. Um, I felt, you're gonna laugh. This sounds like Ben Kenobi. I felt a shift in the force in
Oh,
the middle
I
of
love
a
it. I
reading,
love it.
and I got goosebumps, and I had to stand up. I'm like, we have to go downstairs.
Oh.
We have to go outside. And they go, what's going on? And I'm like, I feel something amazing and important, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. So I ran in, got Jen, we got the kids, we home. It was a timing thing. It was an odd timing. It was a shift of everything. And we went downstairs onto Broughton Street here in Savannah, and there was a huge crowd, and there were all these buses. And Kamala Harris was on Broughton Street, and
Whoa.
she was getting out. And I'm looking at a bus. She's like two buses up from us. I'm not even looking at her. I'm looking at the bus that's in front of our spot.
Uh-huh.
The windows are dark, but I know that there are people in there operating on the spiritual gift side in that bus. And they're making, we believe, changing the weather, making the weather change. There was a weird cloud that just was following with them.
Yeah.
But you could feel the other workers. We were like, holy crap, they're like us. She's got a bus of people working in her favor
Man, you're making
with
my
their
eyes
gifts.
well up. This is
Well,
crazy.
and everyone was like, well, she's going to be the president. I think we're lucky that she's not, because this is a weird one. And
Huh.
I don't think she would want to sit in that seat. Where she is now, she can do much more.
Yeah.
But I think she was working it from her angle, and
Oh.
it was the weirdest thing. I've never had that happen, but I talk about how it's showing up in our society these days, politics. And now I believe that Mr. Trump is probably trying to get a team to do stuff for him.
Hmm.
Hey, make, make things happen. Let's see what you got. And
Yeah.
I think more politicians will start to, if they don't fall into their gift, they'll start paying people to do it. And
Well, this is
it's,
going right back to the biblical times when the
True.
kings would have people come in and tell them,
Yeah.
yep,
like Joseph, tell me your visions,
exactly.
tell me your
Yep.
dreams.
Yep.
Holy
We're
moly.
it's that age. We're coming right back around to the beginning of a new age, which is going to look a lot like what we've already come out of, but
Oh,
more of a flip here. So we have the spiritual stuff coming up. I mean, you're experiencing it yourself
oh yeah,
on
big,
a personal level for
big
you.
time, big
And
time.
I think that's awesome. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh
So
yeah.
with all that, it's interesting. Even people that are going to listen to this are going to go, I'm having weird dreams that are happening or
Yeah.
they're coming true. Or they're going to feel like there are people in their room when they wake up, and they'll be able to smell them and go, I know who that is,
Mm.
and they've already crossed over, but I know they're in the room with me and they're going to feel those things. So,
Yeah. I've had multiple experiences in the last 6 months, and
mhm.
I've had, well, one of my kids, Leo, he told me about a dream he had. And then one of my clients told me about a dream they had, and that dream actually happened,
Yep.
which it was not a good dream to have. Um,
Sometimes they're not.
and
Yep.
I this is so awesome. I think one of the questions I want to ask both of you also, because you've done the work to be able to share your voice and share something that's very awkward to share. Um, how would you give advice to our listeners, to the people that are going to listen to this, and encouragement, empowerment to share their gift? Um, because that's, one of my gifts is seeing your spiritual gifts. That's one of my gifts as a teacher.
Right.
Okay. Um, and a part of the work that I do with my clients is helping them talk about it and get it out. So what are some encouraging things or some steps that you think they should take when they feel, I mean, really the calling, like they feel God saying, "Hey, wake up. It's time to wake up." Um, Yeah.
And definitely, I feel like my biggest advice would be get around people that are going to encouragers, people that are not that you're a safe space.
Mm.
Okay, so um, other, I mean, I'm just going to say mystics, just for a lack of a better term. Find your local spiritual kind of group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and be able to talk to them. They can always reach out to us too, like, and just finding other people that are in tuned or with that's not they're not going to belittle, or because there's going to be a group of people and there's always going to be skeptics and things like that, and that's going to you know press somebody down and maybe shut off what they're naturally opening up. So getting around people that are going to encourage, and then also just because you need to practice. I mean, that's my point is, you have to get
Yeah.
it out, you have to practice, you have to do it in order to get better, but you have to find the safe space first. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna you're going to get around people who are unintentionally hurting you
Mm.
and
Mm.
stopping you from growth.
Yeah.
And they mean well, like, friends and family, they can mean well, but they may not be the best encouragement. And they might not be the best safe space for opening up with the spiritual gifts.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah, I think that's key is choose your audience. That's probably something I didn't know about when I was going through my journey there. I just would just let it roll. And a lot of people have gifts and they don't feel that call to use them, which is completely fine. But if you feel like you're being pulled, if you feel like you're being altar called to say something to somebody, uh, have confidence, though it might not sound right to them at the time because they might say, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense to me." Have confidence that it will. You just need to say, "Okay, that's fine." You really want it to make sense at the time because we're human beings. But what I've learned is half of the stuff I say, I get emails and calls and
So
text,
many,
and
yeah.
days later, "Oh my God, this makes sense now." And
Yeah.
it's amazing when you just confidently say, "Well, if it doesn't make sense now, you know, think on it or just let it go. And if it happens, let me know." I like to just tell people, just let me know.
Yeah.
I like to know that it made sense later. And, I just had a guy come in today. He just had a reading a couple of days ago with his wife, and he came in by himself. He's like, "All right, I need more."
Hmm.
He's like, "Because what you said didn't make sense. Now it does." And now I'm like, "I need to know." And I love that. I think, okay, great, it worked, and for you, for anyone, it's about confidence. Just don't worry if it's right at the time, if you feel the need to say something to somebody. But if you have another gift, healing, which I want to tell you is one that gets overlooked a lot. Uh, Hands off and hands on healing. If you notice that you have the urge to touch someone in a sore spot and say, "Let me just touch you for a minute," and if it helps them, more of that. Now, there's a barrier, there's a space there. You got to figure out what's right and what's wrong and how to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
um, practice builds your confidence and all of it.
Wow. Wow, Brian. I mean, both of you guys, this is incredible. I feel like I need to say this because I wasn't even planning on saying this at all or asking you guys, but you on this podcast, I hope that people have listened to this entire thing. You literally have demystified the um, the unknown. Like you have attached and connected the source, God, to your work, which I think is huge because I think a lot of people dismiss your work because of, it's black magic or it's dark or whatever, right? It's weird. But
Yeah.
when we think about the biblical text and the miracles and the gifts and all of the things that are in there, why would we not have some of those same gifts today? Right?
Yeah.
That's been the big argument that a lot of people have that you can't find an answer to. And the way I look at it is like this. If you're doing something and like what we do, if I had a series of days in a row that I was not accurate, she knows I'd have to take a break. I'd be like, something's wrong. But we're going on day 9,426, you know, and it hasn't happened yet. So, like I said, either I'm really crazy and accurate, or I have a gift that I trust God and God's delivered it to human beings. So
Mm.
if he's doing it in one spot, he's doing it to everyone.
Well, I know that God is very pleased with this conversation today, no doubt. Um, yeah, I think, we have like, I don't know, 17 minutes left. I think it would be cool if you're open to it to showcase some of your gifts, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you like to do that, my friend?
I don't even know. I'm open to
Yeah.
suggestion. What do you think?
You know, so all right, let's try something weird.
Why not? Let's go super weird. Let's go.
I'm just, I'm gonna try, um, actually, that'll make more sense. This is gonna be, someone that that probably listens to your work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just see if they're gonna listen. This is a woman. It would be a female, definitely, with an R name. So I'm gonna roll with, oh God, probably. See, I'm torn now. This is hard because they haven't heard it yet, but I'm gonna say that this is gonna be I'm gonna roll with Rachel. Just to throw it out there, because I could be wrong, but I got to be confident. The other name, and maybe there's this another person, Rebecca. So maybe we've got a Rachel and a Rebecca, two are women that listen to this, or that will listen to this, that are going through this right now and scared to talk about it, scared to share
Hmm.
their thoughts. One of them is more on the medium side and feels people around her and knows that they're there and is weirded out, or not weirded out, but scared to tell people, you know,
Specifically with family.
specifically
Yeah.
almost 100% her family.
That's so cool that you could hear it too, Jen. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
this is how this works. This is crazy. The other one is knows things, knows when it's time to leave a party. And she acts on it and she's very successful. Probably has her own businesses and is doing great. It's just she hasn't told anyone that she just knows who the person is at the table that's going to write the check. So she knows who she needs to impress at a table, and how to make things work, but she's got a gift. She knows how things are going to go.
Hmm.
So when she wakes up, she's got a great gift. She just doesn't know how to explain it to people. It's not that she doesn't want to share it. Um, she might think people think she's weird, but she's
Hmm.
become successful because she knows when to go left, when to go right.
Yeah.
And after hearing this, she's going to probably want to talk about it and go, "Oh my God, that's
Wow.
me," you know.
And you probably say, I know stuff.
Yeah, I know stuff. You'll probably say things to people.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
I just know
things.
things.
People call her lucky. She's not lucky. She's magic. That's really
Hmm.
what that is. But that's funny. But the medium one, she's definitely not going to tell. Well, she doesn't want to tell her parents because, and even like her sibling here, because they're not going to get it. They're not going to understand. Family will never understand. That's 100% true. And if they do even a little bit, then wonderful. That's great. But if they're a good family, they'll let you be you. as long as they see that you're not conjuring the devil,
Mm,
I
yeah.
think they'll be fine.
Wow.
But that's two that I know you'll probably hear from. They'll probably write you
That's
and
really
go,
cool. Like I'm glad I asked you what you wanted to do because I had no idea you'd go that direction.
yeah,
That's
I didn't
amazing.
either. Rabbit was like, I got this. This will give you what is the word? Proof or about
Yeah,
it'll
validation.
give you, yeah, evidence,
Yeah.
Mm,
validation. So
mm.
when they say, "Oh my God, that's me," you'll be like, "Oh my God, that's there they are. They're there." So
That's
at first, I
funny.
thought it was one woman doing both. I think it's two different.
No, it's definitely two
Yeah,
because I was feeling it over here and over here.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Mm.
We did a thing last night that you would have loved to have seen. We went to a museum that's about to open, the Savannah Paranormal Museum. They're not open
Oh
yet.
my gosh.
And they wanted us to come in and do this in the room to find out what they have and what they don't have.
Oh.
And
It was wild. It was really
the
wild.
accuracy that came through, there's one item they have that they've got to be very careful with. And the description down to the T, they were just like, holy cow, that is exactly what happened to it. That's exactly what it
Whoa.
is.
What
Da,
is
da,
it?
da. That I'm not gonna, I can't
You
tell you
can't tell
because
us.
they have to do some things still,
I got you.
to make sure that when the public comes in, that nothing weird happens.
Nothing
So
rubs off on the public and then they
thank
walk
you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this one needs a little protection around it. It's got the other one that we picked up on was they have a bunch of dolls.
Oh,
One of the dolls is actually legit. Um, it's not a, well, we're not sure. We're not sure, but yeah. But I'll tell you, if you ever come to Savannah, you go to the Savannah Paranormal Museum. I'm sure
we
it'll be
have
open
to. We
then.
have to.
Yep.
All right.
But
We could go on and on for hours. This could be like the Joe Rogan show today. Like I could just go on and on.
oh well, we definitely like to talk about the Joe Rogan stuff.
Yeah. So I want to leave. We have like 10 minutes left. I want to make sure to get through these questions because they're questions I always ask on every
Sure.
podcast. So Jen, you get to go first and then Brian can answer it. Jen, what do you love more than anything in the whole world?
Brian. No, actually for real. No,
Hmm.
we work together. So, and I really made that happen. Um, so it really is being with him that's my favorite thing.
She's
Hmm.
funny. She said something without saying it. She made this happen.
Yeah.
So there's a story in this. It's a very big one, but yes,
Yeah.
that is so funny.
All right. What's your
Brian,
favorite?
what do you
Oh,
love more than anything in the world?
what do I love more than anything in the world? Obviously, even if she wasn't here, I would have to say being with her.
Hmm.
We're one of those couples, we don't like to not be in the same room. Even when we're seriously busy, we want to be there and that energy because
Yep.
we're not just two people, we're one, and so we feel together we're a power couple. And
Mm-hmm.
so I like her. I like her. Yeah.
Yeah. Little compound interest of energy in there.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. We have, yeah.
All right, Brian, we're going to start with you on this one and come and let Jen go second. The next one is Brian, what makes you tick? What gets you excited?
Oh Lord. Okay. The first thing that comes to mind we can't talk about, probably not on your show, but it's one that I think a lot of people would choose first. Yeah. Um, I really like? I like laughter.
Hmm.
And I like when people are being who they're supposed to be. I love
Mm.
watching artists and creators make things. It's not whether or not they're the best. I always tell people Picasso up against Rembrandt, who's going to judge that? They're two different styles of art.
Right.
And one Picasso can do in 5 seconds and Rembrandt took 4 years. Does it make one better than the other? No, no, they're appreciated the same. Their process is what I love. When they're doing something, even watching someone dance and they're good at it, and at whatever I would consider to be good, I would be like, wow, that is insane. But I like people's passion when they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I'm always starting something new, always. And learning something, kind of rabbit trailing.
Ha.
It, Google's my best friend, like I love that. But before the internet, it was the library, so
Yeah.
it's just like tons of books and
Yep.
learning new things. But that that fire of like learning something or starting something new. I love that in readings when I do reading for somebody, and I'm helping them through an issue. I feel like I give them the tools to create that fire
Mm.
to go forth and make stuff happen. Like go do this, take this information and go start that business, go find that new love, or all those things. So, and I see that in Brian too. Brian really enjoys seeing people's gifts
Yeah.
and
Mm.
igniting it, lighting that fire underneath it and saying, go for it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
my old life, I was a composer of other people's talents.
Mhm.
Oh,
I was a, film director, TV producer. I would get the best of the best together because I wasn't the best and have them make the best.
there
So,
you go.
yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jen, back to you.
All right.
What are your purposes?
My purposes. Wow. So, I'm a mom. I've got 8 kids. Of course,
What,
that is,
eight?
yeah, yeah, 8. 7 that are naturally mine. I have one, Ash, that is not from my body, but he's still mine.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, and that is definitely a very big purpose for me. That's what drives me every day.
Hmm.
Um, and allowing them to express themselves in any way that they feel they need to is really important to me. Um, but I also like, and I know I've already brought up readings, but when a client comes in, they're like almost like a new child to me. And like
Oh yeah.
I am helping, I feel like I'm helping them like in a mom way, you know, um, kind of go forth and conquer. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really love what I do. And I have all the kids, but I'm like, now I've got like thousands of kids, that people have helped with readings.
That's right. That's right. Oh, and purpose, right? Or purposes.
Purposes.
Well, first and foremost, this might not be in the right order. I don't know if there's an order. I think they're all
Hmm.
right on top of each other. But I would say to make sure that Jen is her. That's the that's the real driving force behind me
Hmm.
um, through my entire life. Even though she wasn't in my life early on, I knew that was my job was to make sure when I found her that I made sure she was her
Hmm.
without anything in her way. And it is to help clear the way for her when she needs it, but really I need her to do it herself. And so she has. And other purpose is to be a dad. It was very important to me when I was young. Have an amazing dad. I see him as my role model, and
That's awesome.
it's good. I thought I was only going to be able to make boys until we had our last one, Luna. So we finally made a girl. So I am capable of making women, which is great. And my last purpose
Hmm.
is kind of the big deal, and it's to um, guide and shepherd people through the real dark stuff that is happening. And I mean on such a prolific level that we haven't even seen the likes of it yet. And I'm
Wow.
supposed to be there to tell people it's okay.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
So,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, that's where we're going now. Why is Brian on Earth?
Oh, to drink whiskey. That no. It's funny. that's why I'm on Earth. That's it. Those my
Yeah.
purposes are actually why I'm here. I was designed to be this,
Yep.
and yeah, it all makes sense to me.
And Jen,
Yeah.
why is Jen on Earth?
And I'm here. I really feel like I want to demystify, or what I'm here for is to demystify God to people,
Hmm.
Wow.
and same with, I mean, with even with my kids, because so much is hidden, so much is shrouded, and it's really within you, like, and not in a simple way, in a very grand way. It's within you and around you, and it's, but it's so simple at the same time. And it doesn't need to be hidden or secret or anything like that. And I love
Hmm.
helping people figure that, connect those dots together.
That's great. Uh, I'm just gonna say it. I feel like I have to. Is there anything that either of you or both of you want to say to me?
Oh, that's a powerful question.
I told you I
Um,
asked the questions.
well, it's a great question because I feel like we're doing an interview, but you just reversed it where I'm the boss and I'm like, oh, okay. So what are your weaknesses? No, um, no, what I would, I think I've already, and I can't remember I hate this. I can't remember our reading. Um, I wish I was like that. I wish I could remember all this stuff.
Hey,
But
there are things that I do all the time that I forget all the time. So you're not alone.
my thing I feel like I need to tell you, and this might be a little more on the gift side. Um, very soon you're going to have to start doing the really small, um, like acting roles or something like that that are going to be a characters you don't normally think about that are you like the bad guys. You're going to have to do
You
some bad
you
guy
you
work.
did you did say that last time. So
Oh, good. And is that happening? Are you doing that? Are
no,
you
not
actually?
yet. Not yet.
Okay. That's gotta happen like maybe by February, dude.
Oh
Like
wow.
that's next
Okay.
month. You have to put yourself in that
I need to
position though.
submit. I need to submit some things.
Yes, you
All right.
gotta meet God halfway. God says meet me halfway, and then you turn and take one step and he's right in your face. And you're like, I thought you said halfway. And he's like, I just wanted to see if you were serious. That's all.
Yep. Yep.
That's the way that works.
Okay.
Do you have anything you want to say to Matt here?
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
oh,
welcome.
isn't she the best?
Yeah, you are
She's so,
welcome.
I love you.
Uh, so how can people get a hold of you? How can they sign up to get a session from either of you? Tell us anything to, be able to reach out to Savannah Psychics.
So I try to make it super easy, and you just go to our website, savannahpsychics.com, and there's a link at the top. And then we do virtual readings, phone, Zoom, and in-person readings if you're in the local area, Savannah, Georgia. We're downtown.
Yep. Yep. We do that. Jen has an incredible shop that she didn't talk about called the Mystic Apothecary. It's where we do our readings. She makes everything from spiritual baths to prepared candles, um, oils. She's got all the natural herbs and stuff, as well as stuff that she makes. She hand does everything here. So if you ever get down here on Broughton Street, you just come on up and look up Mystic Apothecary. She's got a lot of cool stuff to look at. And we're about to open a library. So
Dude,
that's
what?
exciting. Yeah.
I remember when I was walking in the hallway, I saw a ton of books. And so it makes sense why you guys are going to be doing that.
Yep. We're gonna have a lot in that library area. So that'll be amazing. Every book that's in there, we believe in. So you'll be like, it's not like, oh, we're just gonna have a bunch of regular learn how to do this. I'm actually finishing up a book I'm writing, and I want to start one on how to do what we do.
Mhm.
We've been throwing that idea around, but when are we going to do it? I don't know. We got to just keep doing what we're doing, you know.
So, three things. You can split it up however you want. This is the last thing. Three things that we all in the world should look out for in 2025 that you've already probably seen that are very clear. Three things.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
you
go
go.
first. I'll go first. I'm gonna hit
I
it.
know. I don't want to
Let's
say
go. Let's
anything.
go.
Okay. So we're not alone.
Right.
Okay.
Gonna
Yes, I
go
was
with the
hoping you
alien
would
stuff.
say
There
that.
we go.
They're not
They're not
aliens.
aliens.
They've been here longer than we.
Mm,
They've been given many names over the centuries. When we start to misbehave and come close to doing really bad things to each other, they show up. It's happening right now, and this is a very big deal. Don't get scared, don't be freaked out. If they shut down the nuclear missiles from time to time, that's what they're doing. They're keeping things safe so we don't blow each other up.
good.
Um, but this is a different turn, and this is the new age we're in, and they will be around a lot more. We will see them
Mm,
a lot more. We may even have to actually talk to them a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the big news.
okay.
So a couple of years, and it's going to be a weird, natural thing. Churches and the government are going to have to rework how they're doing things
Oh,
in a good
wow.
way. It's a struggle. They've hidden a lot of stuff, and they know all about it,
Oh, yeah.
but we're just now going, what are these lights in the sky? And it was like,
Yeah.
well, that we were supposed to have known, 100 years ago, but
Wow.
everyone said no. So there's that. Other thing to know about coming up here, our government, our American government is going through changes. So is a whole other government. One of the bigger, I'm going with Russia, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's going to be a giant shock to everybody. So that's happening this year. Um, Anything else we need to know more about? let's see. I've got a book I wrote called Semblance and On. It's a science fiction novel that predicts the the Elon Musk robots. So, and the concept behind it and AI and understanding AI.
Oh,
Wrote it
boy.
like how long
I
ago?
wrote
Like
it like
10 years ago or
10 years
something?
ago with my friend Steven. It was a vision I had in a dream that Rabbit gave me and said, this is going to happen. Here's a nice subtle way to let people know how to handle AI intelligence. And
Oh,
so,
man.
but it's a pretty cool book. You can get it on Amazon, but it's a long one. And yeah. Anyway, that's what we need to be prepared for in the next 2 years is a lot more of that. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. And my big thing is don't be afraid. Take
exactly.
every day is a new normal and just take every day, day by day. And don't freak out. Like I mean, I think a lot of people can get really anxious if they think
Yeah.
too far in the future. Just day by day it, okay?
Yep. Everything's going to be fine.
Man.
This planet doesn't go anywhere for a long time.
Oh, well, that's the way to end the
That's
podcast right there.
Right.
Thank you guys so much.
Right on.
I
It
I
was still good to see you. Thank you for having us,
Yeah,
really.
Angela and I will come and visit you for sure. But please go follow Savannah Psychics on Instagram. You've been on a couple TV channels before, correct?
Yeah. Our latest was AMC with
AMC.
Colman Domingo. He's a very amazing actor, an incredible person. We did a seance with him, and that
That's
was
so cool.
it is on it. They aired it. We've never had anyone air what we do privately like that. So that was
Yeah.
really wild. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check that out. Well, thank you
Yeah.
guys, and
Thank you.
subscribe to them, and
We're on
get us.
TikTok.
We're on TikTok. Oh,
For,
we got what, 3 days to find out if we're really
Wait.
still on
Right.
TikTok.
Okay, what's your prediction?
oh,
Is
that's
TikTok
good.
okay?
No,
Brian, tell
no,
us. We
no.
need to know.
TikTok's not going anywhere. It'll change a little bit and it'll go through a little system problem, but everything's fine.
All right. Well, you
Stay
heard
on.
it here first, guys. I got to get this episode out. So thank you guys, and we will
You.
talk to you next week.
You got it. Nice
All
to talk
right.
to you, Matt.
Bye.